Welcome to our weekly Resilience Boost sessions, super short meditations that you can integrate into your busy day so that you can nourish your own resilience and avoid burnout. I'm Maura Mulloy, a psychologist with Thrive Emerge, an outpatient mental health center in Columbia, Maryland. I'll be your guide.
Welcome to another Resilience Boost in challenging times. Today's topic will be on the feeling of overwhelm. And you may have noticed this feeling yourself. It's certainly not unusual to have feelings of overwhelm, especially in challenging times that are already taxing our resources to the max almost. So we can be more primed to experience feelings of overwhelm when we're already feeling really stressed. And there are a lot of extra stressors during this time. So in today's meditation, we'll just take a few minutes to help ourselves cope with feelings of overwhelm in a healthier way that can help us feel more centered and calm. So why don't we find a comfortable position? I invite you to just notice what feels comfortable for you in this moment. Or you might practice sitting or lying down. Whatever helps you feel more comfortable in this moment. It's time to take care of yourself. And especially when we feel overwhelmed with sadness or fear or the overwhelm of anxiety. And the overwhelm of anxiety can be especially intense because it's actually a way of coping with feelings of fear or sadness or self-doubt or worries. We can kind of spin off into our minds and really feel powerless, really feel frightened, really feel caught in thoughts that only continue that sort of spinning of the overwhelm emotion. So let's just practice tuning in this moment to the sounds that are happening around us. When we feel feelings of overwhelm, we feel like we're caught in a tidal wave almost, and we're just being tossed and turned, and it just feels unbearable. And interestingly, brain studies show that when we are in these feelings of overwhelm, which is really like the fight, flight, stress response on overdrive, we can get really stuck. But we can get stuck in it, and we can feel like it's just going to be like this forever. We sort of forget that this is a wave and it will pass, and I will be able to return to a more calm state. You kind of feel like, oh my gosh. And the reason is that brain studies show that the parts of our brain responsible for time really shut down. Because in the moment of fight, flight, freeze, where we're either fighting or we're fleeing, we're trying to get away from the overwhelm. Sometimes we flee by avoiding, by turning on our phone and just distracting ourselves from our feelings that feel so intense. But again, we can kind of keep ourselves spinning by trying to fix the problem or by trying to distract ourselves even. But of course we try to do that because it feels so intense and it feels like it's going to go on forever because we lose our awareness of time. So by bringing ourselves into the moment in this meditation, we actually practice grounding ourselves. When we're in the midst of this swirl, we can find some solid ground. It's almost like emerging from being caught in a wave that's crashed upon you at the beach, the ocean. And you just crawl out onto the sand and you think, I'm on solid ground again. That's what we do when we allow ourselves to ground in sounds that are happening in this present moment. If you are feeling intense overwhelm, it may also be helpful to open your eyes, to ground yourself in the visual field. You can practice the trees behind me in the shot, or choose something else in the visual field to just help yourself feel connected to, again, connected in this present moment, giving yourself that solid grounding of time to bring yourself out of the swirl. As always, we can practice grounding in our breath. And our breath can be very useful to help calm our nervous system, especially if we allow our exhale to be longer. A sense of letting go can help flip that nervous system back into that parasympathetic, more soothing, calming, out of the fight-flight activated response into the soothing, calming. But sometimes it may be hard to be with our breath in overwhelm, just because it feels so connected with these feelings that are all swirling in our core. So when that's the case, you might try grounding in sensations in your hands, bringing all of your awareness into your palms, your fingertips. And again, helping yourself connect to the moment in a grounding way, through the sensations, through the aliveness that's present in this moment, in a more neutral place, away from the overwhelm, but still grounding in your body, reminding yourself, I'm here. I can feel sensations of warmth or vibration. Whatever you're noticing in your hands or even in your feet can be a wonderful way to ground yourself when you're feeling overwhelmed. And finally, you might experiment with just bringing your awareness into that heart center or into the belly, into the core of the experience. This can actually be the most direct way of helping ourselves cope with feelings of overwhelm, even if it's just that we lean in for one breath at a time and then we lean back out. We ground ourselves in something else, or we even distract ourselves. Sometimes distraction can play a role to help us in those immediate feelings, but the more direct route to calming ourselves is by paying attention to our feelings in a loving way. It's almost like these feelings of sadness or fear. They're like a crying child, or like a whimpering dog. And what this crying child or this wounded animal most need is our loving attention. Not to dart away from them or distract ourselves, but to bring ourselves close and say, it's okay, it's going to be okay, to help soothe. So in a way, we can learn to do that for ourselves by bringing our breath. We can take care of ourselves most elementally just by bringing our breath, that soothing exhale, into our inner experience. Or you might try resting a hand on your heart or your belly, or even giving yourself a hug. An additional way of grounding yourself in this loving attention, just feeling that you're taking care of yourself. And finally, that's the most important thing to remember when we're dealing with overwhelm, is we're not alone and we can take care of ourselves. I guess those two things. We're not alone. Everybody has these feelings. It's universal: fear, sadness, anxiety. We may feel very alone in the moment, but we can remember everyone has these feelings. I don't have to judge myself for having the feelings. I can take care of myself. Like I'm a crying child within, or a wounded animal, whatever works for you. This is your practice. I can learn to take care of myself in this moment. And by doing so, breath by breath, we practice returning to a more centered, calm, soothed state. So taking a few more heart-centered or sound-centered breaths. Remembering that you can continue this practice whenever in your life. The more you practice coming home into the moment, the stronger your mindful muscle will be for the times when it's really hard to come into the moment, and it's really hard to come into the moment when we're in overwhelm. So take it easy on yourself, just a breath at a time. And you can build up your ways of coping in a way that helps you take care of yourself. Thanks for joining another Resilience Boost. It was a bit longer than normal, but this is a bigger topic than most. I look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of learning how to improve our resilience, boost our resilience in challenging times. Be well, take care of yourself, one breath at a time. Bye.